Hi, I'm Carol Versalino, and I'm with Jay Lyerly. He's our CTO, and we're both co-founders of Oak City Labs Software Development Agency. And today we're going to talk about what Apple announced last week and kind of give a brief summary of the new products that they released, like the iPad, the watch, hopefully the coming phone soon. We'll give you a breakdown of the features and we'll get Jay's initial impressions of what those could mean for maybe your apps or opportunities in health and wellness and other industries that are out there, as well as iOS14 and what that means for your app if you have an existing app. So to get started, Jay, I would love to hear what you think about the announcement last week and what you're most excited about.
So yeah, they announced a number of things. A lot of people were expecting iPhones, but that's going to be next month. So they're just focusing on the watch and iPad in this one, and a few extra little surprises. The watch, the big update to the watch, the Series 6, is the O2 sensor. So that's an oxygen sensor that you can manually take a reading like with the ECG from previous models, and it also does things in the background. And monitors your O2 periodically. Other than that, the new watch has a faster CPU and is more responsive and that kind of thing. They also came out with the Watch SE model, which is sort of an entry-level kind of watch, which I think is really interesting because in my mind, that means they feel like the watch has reached a critical level of functionality. And so they've sort of locked that in at SE, that it's got cellular service, that it's got GPS, that it's got all those features. And now that's good for, lots of people. And then you have the advanced line for people who want, more cutting edge stuff. And that, of course, includes the O2 sensor. As far as the O2 sensor, I think that's really interesting. They didn't really talk about the applications of that a whole lot. In the context of COVID, I've read a little bit about that. And one of the things COVID does is suppress oxygen. And so some people have actually come in with what they call silent hypoxia, where they have COVID, but they don't have any other symptoms, but it's actually depressed their oxygen level in their blood. So it's actually at a critical level where they're starting to feel lethargic. They're starting to get to the point where it can start to affect organs and stuff like that. So one of the things the watch does with those background O2 sensor readings is it can warn you about things like that if your O2 level goes down. The other thing that was interesting about that they haven't really talked about specifically is like sleep apnea. They're also pushing the watch as it now has built-in sleep monitoring. So they suggest you actually sleep in your watch and record that data. And with the O2 sensors, that can actually indicate sleep apnea. So that'll be interesting to see how that gets used like in a clinical sense.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. I think from my perspective, the thing I was most excited about as a parent was the family setup. And I wonder if there will be any applications for families, maybe monitoring medical information for people in the future. I don't think they have that now, do they?
Yeah, I'm not sure how the family's integrated with like the health kit stuff, but certainly they're pushing it for both children and for older adults who people in your family who might not, have an iPhone, which, I think is especially useful with like the fall monitoring and stuff like that. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yes, I'm laughing because I have 3 broken fingers. So there's been some discussion about who should have fall monitoring turned on. And for the people who are listening, is fall monitoring on by default on the watch?
If you're under 55, it is not. So you have to go turn that on manually, which
you learned how to do. Hazard. Yeah. Okay. Well, is there anything else besides, how about the iPad? What were you most excited about there?
So they bumped 2 of the lines. There's basically 3 lines. There's the base line they just call the iPad, and then the iPad Air, and then the Pro line. And this past week they didn't update the Pro line. That just got updated in the spring. So with the low end, they bumped it to a new faster processor and included the neural engine for the first time. So that means a lot of the machine language stuff, machine learning stuff they've been working on can run on that natively now. So it'll be a lot faster. That's interesting in that it means that base machine is still going to have a really long lifespan. If you're looking to deploy a healthcare app on that, you can get the low end machine, but it can still perform really well, do a lot of that machine learning analysis on board, and still have cellular connection and be light and easy to carry and stuff like that. The Air update was pretty big. They did a big redesign. Basically, a lot of the stuff from the Pro line trickled down to that. And in my mind, that's really the workhorse one. Like if you need a computer, like if you don't have maybe a whole Mac that you use every day, and you want an iPad to like replace that desktop, like the Air line is probably where you want to start with that, because it's got pretty much all the features now, and is in that mid-range price tier. You know, they updated the chip. It's really fast. A lot of screen updates. They added Touch ID in the power button, which is really interesting in the context of the iPhone coming out next month. And with the iPhone coming out next month, it's expected to be on that same A14 chip. And they didn't really talk about its performance other than to say this is like faster than the old iPads. So they seem to be waiting on, like, you know, the big reveal for that for next month to go, oh my God, this iPhone is so fast. And it's the same chip in the iPad Air.
Yes, we're all very excited. And the Air also looks like a good option for people who are maybe doing virtual learning for the kids. I know a lot of schools have invested in iPads when they need to hand out some of the devices, for sure. Okay, so we've covered the watch and the iPad, and then finally iOS 14 came out, and I think there's a little bit of a surprise that it came out so quickly, right?
It was a surprise. Tim Cook was on stage and said, we'll be releasing this tomorrow. And all the developers were expecting to have at least a couple days, usually get a week's notice. When you deploy a new app on an OS like that, when you deploy an app on a new OS like that, you have to use the released version of Xcode, which they don't release until that announcement's made. So basically, he's like, this is coming out tomorrow, and all the developers have to download Xcode, you know, get that installed, recompile their apps, do whatever testing, and like ship it off through app review if they want to be there for launch day. So a lot of people were surprised and had a long night ahead of them.
Oh, developer frenzy! Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything in iOS 14 that maybe one or two things people need to be aware of for their apps?
I think one of the things that out of the gate has been really popular is the app widgets. And that's, it's a thing actually has been in Android for a while, but you can do basically little mini applets on the home screen, like where you normally would launch apps, and provide content from your app right there. You know, like if you have a weather app, you might put a map there, or the forecast or something like that. Or the fitness app now has your rings on there, so you can see those on your phone updated sort of in real time. So that's gotten a lot of press right out of the gate, because a lot of people are finding those super useful, and they've been waiting for a long time, since they have been on Android for a while. The other thing that is coming that is also really interesting is called app clips. And these are these really scaled down little mini applications that sort of get installed on the fly. Mm-hmm. So it's the kind of thing where you can go to a parking lot and, you know, scan a QR code and get a little mini parking lot app to pay for your parking space and that kind of thing. So services like parking spaces, you know, renting a scooter, going into restaurants and ordering, stuff like that. That takes a lot more developer work. So that's still probably something we're going to see ramp up over the next couple months.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be interesting to not have to install a full app when you need those things. Okay. Mm-hmm. Very cool. All right. So we broke down the watches, iPad, iOS 14. And so I think that's it for today for a high level, what to watch out for, what to look for from the most recent Apple announcement. And hopefully we'll be hearing about phones very, very soon. Some of us need a new phone. So thank you to everyone for watching. If you have any questions or you have any content that you would like us to cover, just please sure to leave a comment below or follow us on social media at Oak City Labs and oakcity.io. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Carol.